Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good day to everyone. I am Ezrin. Today I'm going to present a paper entitled Factors Influencing Student Performance in the Introductory Course and Management Accounting course. So this paper is co-authored by Nurul Huda and Ahmad Mazuki. So this will be my presentation outline. First, I will explain about the introduction and background of the study, followed by the literature review. Next, we move on to the research methodology, key findings, and the conclusion. So now we move on to the introduction. We look at, so for the accounting, to stay relevant in the market, so accounting professionals are expected to accommodate the ever-changing and escalating demand by the industry. So students, therefore, should be equipped with the ability to utilize the artificial intelligence and more automation-based technologies and beyond. So the framework for learning should incorporate the intuitive domain in the education in order to achieve a cognitive, affective, and psychomotor learning outcomes. And students' cognitive engagement can be characterized by the psychological state where students put effort and investment in their own learning. So the constantly changing landscape of the accounting professions therefore demands the accounting graduates to acquire the required skills, including the deeper critical thinking, problem solving, and the professional judgment ability. So also we can see that in the Sustainable Development Goals as proposed by the United Nations, we have 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and one of it, that is the SDG, the number 4, is on the quality education. This is to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and also to promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. So focusing on this, so the research objective of this paper is to examine the factors that influence the student performance, specifically in the Introductory Course and Management Accounting paper. So therefore, this paper will contribute to the contributions of the study would be to assess the enrollment policies, whereby it determines the prerequisite for the advanced courses and provide input for academic pedagogy. Because this one, we are looking at the introductory course, and this one will be a prerequisite paper for them to continue with other higher management papers. And then with regard to the literature review on the accounting education, so this paper would contribute. As for now, there are kind of limited studies especially in the Malaysian context, that look into this issue. And then the insight would assist the academics when they want to design the curricula, especially when that relates to a prerequisite courses. Next, we move on to the literature review. So we see that I've split the literature into we look into the student performance and the accounting education. So if we look at the student performance, we examine, there are various studies that look into the student performance. That includes, for example, they examine the summative and formative assessment for the introductory accounting subjects and what are the effect of this on the student performance. There are also studies that assess the students' self-efficacy and their performance in the accounting courses. There are also studies that look into the self-motivation to learn and acquire knowledge, so that whether they want to see whether the self-motivation would critically influence their performance. The amount spent on studying with the additional exercise, the tutorial questions, can also impact the performance. So there are also various studies that look into various perspectives, that, for example, there are also studies that look into the use of information technology and the impact of using that on the student performance. So there are various other studies also that look into the student performance, and there are various factors that can influence the student performance. So with regard to the accounting education, we see that to allow the professionalism to be acquired, so the students must first possess the right skills and the ability so that they can become the true accountant. Therefore, there comes in the role whereby the educators, so these educators or the lecturers are the teachers that give the lectures on accounting. So they play an important role for these students. as they can act as a catalyst for the knowledge provider. So to do a better job in teaching the management accounting, so the educators need to enhance their understanding on the major decisions made by the accountants. So they have to have the mix of practical skills and the wide breadth of knowledge regarding the accounting profession that includes, among others, the math, stats, finance, etc., in order for them to become a successful educator in the specifically in the accounting education. Next, we move on to the theory underpinning this study. So we are using achievement goal theory. So based on this theory, there are two major explanatory constructs to explain the theory, which are the first one would be the performance approach, and the other one is the mastery approach, goal orientation. So this one, if we are looking at the performance approach, is basically about the performance. So the approach, this approach is basically focuses on the development of the competence for its own sake. So the competitiveness is the major predictor of the performance approach goal. So this one opposed to the mastery approach. So in a mastery approach, goal orientation, that it looks into the motivation to learn for the sake of gaining the knowledge and for the sake of mastering the topic. As the name implies, so you want to master, that means the student, they want to master that particular topic. So that is why they study, okay? They acquire the knowledge because they want to master. So therefore, the mastery approach emphasizes on the learning itself and the self-improvement that has been put into by the students so that they can enhance their knowledge and ability. So in short, if you are looking at the performance approach goal orientation, that means why you acquire the knowledge is because you want to improve your performance. On the other hand, if you are looking at the mastery approach, why the students acquire the knowledge is because they want to gain the knowledge itself, or because they want to master that particular topic. So that's basically about the achievement goal theory. So this theory is basically what underpins this study. Next, we move on to the research methodology. So in the research methodology, we explain about how the research is being conducted. So the investigation involved a questionnaire survey. Simple random sampling was used. The population would consist of students taking the introductory course and management accounting course during a certain period. And then the questionnaire contained the social demographic characteristics, the students' achievement, and the determinants of the students' performance. Google Form was used to collect the data from 190 students, and they were being analyzed using SPSS 21 and SMART PLS. Okay, scale type used, the semantic differential expressing the degree of the respondents' agreement or disagreement towards there were altogether 31 statements from the questionnaire. Next, we move on to the findings. So based on the findings, there are altogether 30 male students and 158 female students. So in terms of the gender, the variation is from 18 to 21, whereby majority of them are 20 years old, and then most of them has take accounting paper during their secondary school. There are altogether 161 students that have taken their accounting paper during the secondary school, while the remaining 27 have not. Now we move on to table 2. We can see that 5 out of the 31 constructs have been deleted. Okay, this is due to the loading factor of less than 0.7. And then all other constructs, we can see that they have the AVE between 0.8 and 1 for the composite reliability. So so this shows that all constructs are acceptable as stated by HER 2017. With regard to the multicollinearity, this study also has no issue with regard to multicollinearity as the HTMT below 0.85. So as stated by Klein 2011, the HTMT should be below 0.85, and according to Gold et al. 2001, the HTMT value should be less than 0.9. So as shown here, the HTMT value are all less than 0.85. So this ensures that the discriminant validity has been ascertained. This is the structural model of this study. And from here, we can see that all other factors are not significant except for the interest based on the pass coefficient and performance. It shows that interest is the only variable that is significant. So what can we say from here? So we see from the findings of the study, preference, perceptions, teaching, the assessment are all not significant except for the interest. So this one is a very interesting finding. Why is that so? Because we know that accounting is one of the most prominent area in the financial service industry. So accounting students therefore need to be equipped, okay, with their themselves with the professional skills that encompasses the analytical skill, the written, the oral communication skills, etc. So the findings indicate that only the interest. So it shows that interest is a very important factor. If you want to do something, you've got to have your interest. So the students need to have their interest in accounting. Basically, they need to have their interest in accounting so that they can improve their performance. Without their interest, without their passion, without their perseverance, they wouldn't be able to continue and taking up this subject and perform. So this study highlights that interest is very important when students want to pursue their studies, specifically in the accounting education. So we must make sure that students have their interest, otherwise they won't be able to perform in their study. Also, we need maybe further studies can look into how we can inculcate interest in these students and how we want to make sure that in terms of when we encourage the students to take up accounting, we must make sure that they have their interest in this particular subject or in this particular area. So I think this study has opened up an interesting findings that indicates interest is a very important factor that influence the performance of these students. So I think with that, I thank you. So thank you for listening and thank you very much. Okay.